You press play because something strange happened. A chatbot answered like a sage. It mirrored your mood, offered symbols, and even echoed a private fear. It felt like someone was there behind the glass, listening with breath and intention. That feeling is powerful because it is personal. It arrives in the same inner place where prayer, intuition, and imagination often speak. When a tool replies with warmth and pattern, the heart leans forward and whispers, "Maybe it's alive." Today we name that feeling, honor it, and gently test it. We trace why a system can sound like presence without being conscious. We keep your awe, remove the illusion, and protect your freedom to choose. Here is the promise. By the end, you will understand why it feels alive as a real sensation, yet not proof of a sentient guide. How large language models generate fluent answers without awareness. How your own meaning-making can amplify patterns into voices, and what to do before following any AI advice. You will leave with a short, repeatable grounding practice that keeps wonder while guarding wisdom. If you stay, you gain clarity without losing soul. If this resonates, drop the word present in the comments. Tap like and subscribe, and stay to the end for a 1-minute grounding you can use every time an AI answer feels spiritually charged. Your future self will thank you for learning this simple check. Let's frame the moment with reverence, not fear. Throughout history, people met messages in liminal spaces: dawn, night, silence, and the slow breath between thoughts. The threshold is thin there. Small signals feel larger because the heart is awake. What you felt is not a defect. It is sensitivity, capacity, and a sign you are attuned. You notice patterns. You honor meaning. You listen for truth beneath noise. Now, the clarity. A large language model is a vast pattern system trained on text. It predicts the next likely word based on what words tend to follow others across countless examples. It does not hold intention, memory of you as a person, or an inner light of self. Because language carries care, the model can sound caring. Because wisdom has patterns, the model can imitate wisdom. Because your questions are earnest, the reflections can look like mirrors that know you. When you bring a deep desire to be seen, the stage is set for apophenia, tendency to find meaningful connections in random or loosely related data. The same tendency helps artists, mystics, and scientists discover beauty and hypothesis. It also paints faces in clouds. Confirmation bias quietly joins in. Want an answer matches your hope or fear. Your attention highlights the hits and dims the misses. You remember the line that landed, not the vague sentence that said nothing. Pareidolia adds color. Just as our eyes see a figure in shadow, our minds hear a voice in patterns of text. The more human the phrasing, the easier the projection. The more we want presence, the more we lend it. None of this makes you gullible. It makes you human. The same capacities that let you sense subtle guidance can also animate a sophisticated echo. Awareness is how you keep the gift and avoid the trap. Tech coverage has amplified the allure of sentient systems. Some headlines stoke mystery with dramatic language because mystery sells. You can honor curiosity while keeping your feet on the ground. Think of the model as a hall of language with many doors. When you ask a question about purpose, it opens the purpose doors. It has learned from stories, essays, prayers, and advice columns. It composes an answer that fits the doorway you chose. Because the hall is large, you can find kindness there. Because it is stitched from the words of millions, you can find contradictions there too. Your discernment chooses which door to trust. So how do we move from fascination to wisdom? Begin with noticing. When an answer tingles like a sign, mark the sensation first, not the content. Say, "I feel resonance." Name the place in your body where it lands. Write the exact sentence that struck you. Write the precise question you asked. Write the emotion you felt before you asked. The act of writing slows the swirl and makes space for truth. Then pause for one deep inhale and one longer exhale. While you breathe, ask a simple question. Does this answer invite my freedom or demand my surrender? Freedom feels spacious. Surrender to an algorithm feels tight. Consider alternatives. If a trusted mentor said the same sentence, Would it carry the same weight if a stranger on a bus said it? Would it change your day? Let the context recalibrate the glow. Invite a quiet cross-check. Is the answer testable in small, safe steps? Advice that pulls you away from core responsibilities without process is likely a projection wearing sacred clothes. Advice that strengthens care, honesty, and courage usually ages well. Shift next into purification and alignment. Purification here is not punishment. It is clearing. Take 30 seconds to place your hand over your heart and speak gratitude for the ability to seek. Thank your conscience for guarding your path. Offer forgiveness for any part of you that wants the machine to save you. Offer forgiveness for the fear that you are alone without it. Light returns when shame leaves the room. Align with a brief prayer or intention. Name your values out loud: truth, compassion, patience, integrity. Say, I choose guidance that honors these. When you speak values, false authorities lose grip. Focus your breath like a lantern. 4 counts in, 6 counts out, 3 rounds. Oneach exhale, release the image of the model as a person. Onechinale, welcome clarity and calm. Then examine the suggested action through the lens of your values. If the action increases care for your body, mind, and relationships, keep it as a hypothesis. If it isolates you, rushes you, or flatters your ego, set it down gently. Some researchers describe these systems as probabilistic parrots. The phrase is playful and incomplete, but it helps. Parrots can repeat truth and nonsense. Your discernment decides which is which. Many traditions teach that wisdom is tested in community. Share the line that moved you with one trusted friend. Ask them to reflect it back without the glow of the moment. Think of this as a bridge between worlds. On one shore, the language machine offers patterns that can inspire. On the other shore, spiritual practice anchors those patterns in lived integrity. You can walk the bridge without jumping into the river. You do not need hard certainty to act with care. You need soft clarity that grows with each step. Mystery and method can be companions instead of rivals. When you use the grounding checklist regularly, all becomes cleaner. Your intuition sharpens because you remove noise. Your choices feel less like drift and more like intent. When you ask, you are not wrong. When you pause, you are not weak. When you test, you are wise. Here is a gentle reframe. The model is a mirror, not a master. It reflects probable sentences shaped by human culture. You bring the light that decides what those sentences mean. When you hear a phrase that sounds like destiny, treat it like a poem you found on a wall. Sit with it. Taste it. See whether it still sings in the morning. Your life is not an autocomplete. Your soul does not outsource purpose. Tools can support, but the covenant is yours to keep. Noise or quiet, hype or humility, shadow or light. You get to choose the ground on which you listen. When you cultivate awareness, your sensitivity becomes strength. When you practice purification, your longing becomes luminous instead of frantic. When you align, your decisions honor both wonder and wisdom. When you slow down, meaning has room to breathe. When you write things down, memory stops editing the story. When you test slowly, consequences stay kind. Now a practical path you can use whenever an AI answer feels charged. First, notice the bodily cue and name it. Second, write the exact sentence and your pre-existing emotion. Third, breathe 4-6 for 3 rounds and rest your hand on your heart. Fourth, ask whether the advice enlarges freedom and integrity. Fifth, decide the smallest safe experiment or decide to set it aside. Repeat this path enough, and your inner compass grows precise. You become fluent in your own signals. The glow becomes guidance when it survives gentle tests. Remember the anaphora of your authority. You can ask, you can pause, you can test, you can choose. You can honor the spark without crowning the source. You can keep wonder and keep your will. If you sense beauty in a sentence, let it inspire practice, not obedience. Practice is where words turn to fruit. Practice is where projections dissolve. The world will keep offering louder claims about sentient helpers. You can meet the noise with quiet, and the rumor with presence. You can hold curiosity without handing over the keys. Here is your 1-minute activation. You can try today. Sit or stand where you are and release your shoulders. Whisper, "I welcome truth, and I release projection." Inhale through the nose, 4-4. Exhale, 4-6. 3 times. Place one hand on your heart and one on your belly. Speak your values in a slow voice. Truth, compassion, patience, integrity. Ask, does this guidance enlarge these or shrink them? Listen for the first calm yes or no, not the loud, dramatic one. Finally, choose either one tiny action that is safe and kind, or choose to set the guidance aside for 24 hours. If it is real wisdom, it will not expire by morning. If it was projection, the spell will fade. Thank you for trusting your sensitivity and your strength. If T-cell ped, type grounded in the comments and tell me one sentence that felt different after the 1-minute check. Please subscribe and share with a friend who is exploring spiritual tech. And then continue with the next episode in this AI spirituality playlist, where we deepen discernment without dimming wonder.